Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us today for our Healthwatch Berry live Facebook session. We're joined this afternoon by Catherine from Chapter 1 for our gambling awareness guest speaker and informative session. So thank you, Catherine, for joining us. Just before we start the session, I will go through some of our Healthwatch Berry slides just to reiterate who we are and some of the guidance around today's live session. So our live stream guidelines are to be accepting, so everybody is welcome, regardless of your race, ethnicity, origin, sexual orientation, sex, gender, or ability. So we would ask that you respect boundaries and don't make advances or comments on appearances that might make somebody uncomfortable. Please be polite, don't be rude or insultive to anybody. Don't flood the chat, so keep the conversation going, but please do not repeat continuously the same question. And we're not here for self-promotion, so let's stay focused on the subject at hand and keep it clean. No vulgarities, so just leave that out of the chat. So they're the guidelines for today's live stream. This live stream will also be shared on YouTube, so feel free to tell friends and family that don't have Facebook that they can watch the live stream on YouTube. So I'm just going to introduce myself first. I'm Beverly Santana Vega. I am a Community Engagement Officer for Healthwatch Berry. So I go out into the community to gather the thoughts and the views of people that use the public health services in and around Berry. We are joined by Catherine, who is our guest speaker for our gambling awareness session from Chapter 1. And I will pass over to Catherine in a moment and then finish off with some questions that we've been sent to by the public, and hopefully Catherine will be able to give us some information, some useful information on gambling awareness. So a little bit about Healthwatch Berry. We are an independent champion for members of public in and around Berry that use our NHS services. So services such as dentists, doctors, children's services. We listen to the experiences of the public, anyone using social care, and we share those with those that have the powers to make changes within the services with the view of making these better. We can also provide with information and advice, and we act as a link to services such as Chapter 1, which is why we're doing this Facebook Live today. So we can signpost people to local support groups if they need help. We hold quite a lot of information and advice for family members in regards to healthcare and other services and other groups in the Berry community. And we will listen to experiences and we will help people with general queries about the care services in Berry. These are our contact details. You can reach us on our phone number 0161 253 6300. We have email info@healthwatchberry.co.uk, and we have there our online socials, Twitter, Facebook and YouTube page under Healthwatch Berry. Also joining us today is Anna Marie. She is our Research and Public Participation Officer. Although she won't be joining in today's Facebook session, she will be moderating the contents. And if she's got any further questions from the comments, she will join in later on. So that is Healthwatch Berry, and I'd like to pass you now to Catherine from Chapter 1. So I'll hand over to you, Catherine. So tell us all about your organisation and what you do.
Good afternoon, thank you. So yes, I'm Catherine and I work on behalf of Gambling with Lives for a project called Chapter 1. So Chapter 1 is for anyone affected by gambling. And when we talk about anyone, that could be the person themselves, the person around them, or professionals who may come into contact with someone experiencing gambling harms. And that's not just at the extreme end of maybe addiction. And a lot of people don't realise that gambling is a clinically recognised mental health disorder, and it can become an addiction. But there is a spectrum of harms. So that can be people who are experiencing lower levels of harms as well, but that it does have a serious impact on their mental health and other areas of their life as well. So when we talk about everyone affected by gambling, anyone, that is who we're referring to. Chapter 1 is a pilot project between our charity Gambling with Lives, which was set up by families bereaved by gambling-related suicide, which is why it is a passion of those families to raise awareness of this topic, and the Greater Manchester Combined Authority, because in Greater Manchester, there's currently over 18,000 people suffering from gambling-related harms. So it's 1.5 times higher than the national average. So that's why it's an area of concern within this area, and why it's been piloted in that area. So Chapter 1 was born as a information, training and support hub, basically. So if you access the Chapter 1 website, chapter-1.org, you can access a huge range of information about gambling harms, and there is a public and professional side to the website. So the website will provide you a lot of information about what gambling is, what gambling harms are, because many people who are suffering gambling harms don't necessarily realise they are. They don't necessarily realise the impact it is having on relationships, finances, work, different areas of their life. So you can visit the website and just think, am I kind of gambling a little bit too much? Is it taking up a bit too much of my time or headspace? You can go onto that website and find out a little bit more about it, and just find out if gambling is harming you. Likewise, if you're someone who thinks, I have someone in my life that I'm concerned about, that can be a friend, a family member, sibling, loved one, colleague, and you think, do you know what, something's not quite right there, and you suspect gambling might be a part of that, you can go onto that website, you can find out information for yourself, how you can be supported through that, but then how you can also support that person. If you're someone who's working in the Greater Manchester area and you think, you're coming into contact with people who may be suffering from gambling related harms, so that might be someone working in housing, might be someone working in debt recovery, somebody working in primary care, secondary care, somebody working in the third sector, who is coming into contact with someone and they think, I think there's something beyond this. I think there might be experiencing some gambling related harms. You can sign on to the Professionals Hub side of the website, and you can find out information as to how you can support that person through that as well. There is a huge amount of information on how you can refer yourself for treatment and support. So Chapter 1 is a treatment pathway project where we want to get more people early. We want to create more interventions, because a lot of the time with gambling harms, you're not finding out about it until crisis point. It is known anecdotally as the hidden addiction. And that's because it can be happening right in front of your face and you may not even see it. With other more relatively known and validated addictions, such as drink, drug, smoke, and those types of things that we're used to seeing and being educated about, you can spot it a lot easier. Whereas gambling can be quite a hidden addiction. So our pilot project wants to get more people into treatment earlier, wants to get more early interventions, wants to have these conversations earlier. So there's a huge amount of information on how you can refer yourself for treatment for what's considered the gold standard treatment within the UK, CBT-based therapies, a lot of talking-based therapies, but a huge amount of peer support as well, because community and conversation is a huge part to this for not just the person, but those around them as well who are affected. So there's a huge amount of signposting, information, support services on that website. We also offer a lot of training packages to intermediaries, healthcare professionals, people who may be coming into contact with someone experiencing gambling harms as well. So if you're from an organisation that comes into contact with people and you think, this is something that we need to be aware of or need to learn a little bit more about, Chapter 1 provides that training project as well, so that we can inform you how to have these conversations, how to spot it, and how to get people treatment and help that works earlier.
Fantastic. That's all really useful information. It sounds like a really good organisation that supports not just the sufferer, but the families, colleagues and people that it impacts around them as well. Thank you very much, Catherine, for telling us about your organisation. I do have those questions that have been sent in to us, so you've probably covered them already, but I will reiterate those 3 questions. So the first question we had was, I want to stop gambling, but I'm worried about my friends and family finding out if I reach out for help. So can I access help anonymously?
Absolutely. So everything that is accessed and signposted via Chapter 1 is confidential. So again, NHS services, peer support services, they're all free, confidential support services. With that caveat goes, obviously, if there's any safeguarding issues that someone or professional may have to disclose at some point, that would potentially raise an issue. But anything accessed via Chapter 1 or signposted to is a confidential service.
Fantastic, thank you. The next question we have is, I am in a lot of debt, but my family are not aware. I am very overwhelmed and I need to find a way to deal with my debt. Is there any support out there for me?
Absolutely. Again, gambling isn't a financial addiction, but we appreciate it comes with a lot of financial concerns and consequences attached to it. So I would firstly suggest accessing the support services for the root cause, as well as accessing support services for the financial. But there is charities and organisations that do provide support to deal with that financial situation. And again, because gambling addiction, if you are at that extreme level of harms, is a clinically recognised mental health disorder, and there is additional support that can be accessed for financial difficulties when you are suffering with a disorder like that. So yeah, again, everything's referenced on the website. If they go to chapter-1.org, they can access services.
Fantastic, thank you for that. And final question, I suspect my spouse has a gambling problem, but when I try and discuss it, they say they've got it under control. Are there any warning signs to look out for? And who am I best to speak to about this?
Absolutely. So there's a number of things, and you've mentioned one of them there about that avoidance of the question or kind of that objection to it. A lot of things that may present as other issues: not sleeping, feeling restless, anxiousness, depression, not taking pleasure in kind of ordinary things, that little bit of dissociation. If somebody is at that point where they're experiencing addiction, they're in pretty much a survival mode where their brain has been rewired to the point that they feel or that they need to gamble in order to stay alive. So in order to survive, their priority is gambling. So they may disconnect from people, from situations, from work environments, family members, or things that they would usually take pleasure in, usual hobbies. They may disengage or disassociate from them. And it goes without saying as well that at those extreme ends, they could be having suicidal thoughts or ideations as well, just feelings of wanting to be kind of absent from the world, not necessarily talking about ending their life, but a feeling of, I just don't want to be here anymore, because they don't know how to take that enjoyment in life anymore. But all of these are on the website, and it's not a definitive list, and it's not you must have every single one of those things to be experiencing gambling harms. This is just a bit of an indication, but those are all referenced on the website as well. So don't think you've got to kind of remember them all or look out for them all. They are on that website. And again, there are support services for what we call affected others. So those people around someone suffering gambling harms, they're called affected others, which is a term that not many people who are in that position will know about, because we're not educated about that. I myself am an affected other of someone else's gambling addiction, which is why I've come to be passionate about this topic. There's said to be 6 to 10 for every person that's suffering. So there'll be a large number of them in the Greater Manchester area, Bury area. Access the website. All of the support services are on there. There's GamFam. You can access that website. The NHS clinics, they have a number of gambling clinics now. So the Northern Gambling Service, and they support not just the person that is suffering, but those affected around them as well. They can access free confidential support for them through the NHS, and it can all be done by just answering a few questions, making a referral themselves on the website.
Fantastic. All really useful information. Thank you very much, Catherine. Is there anything else that you would like to add, or a final message for our Facebook watchers in regards to gambling awareness and support that's out there.
Just to reiterate that if you are experiencing gambling related harms, either yourself directly or indirectly, you are not alone at all. There is a huge amount of support out there. And if you access the website chapter-1.org, it's a starting point and we can begin the conversation with you and get you the help and support that you truly need.
Fantastic. So for those that may not have access to the internet, do you have a telephone number or other ways of getting in touch with your organisation?
We're contacted by email or Facebook page or Instagram page or the Twitter account if someone can get onto any of the social media channels. We don't have a direct telephone line to ourselves, but if you access any of those information points, we can begin the conversation with you.
That's brilliant. I mean, here at Healthwatch Berry, we're happy to support wherever we can to direct people to get the right help from Chapter 1. So thank you very much again for joining us. Thank you for all the useful information, and we will display that information somewhere accessible to the people of Berry. Is there any questions that you may have for us?
No, not at this time. Just thank you very much for taking the time to reach out and spread an awareness of gambling harms.
Fantastic, thank you. So to the members of the public, you may share this Facebook Live. It will be on YouTube. But anybody that wants any more information on Chapter 1 and wants to come to Healthwatch Berry for that, we're happy to direct you in the right place. Thank you, Catherine. We'll wrap up this session now. So thank you very much for the information.
Thank you.